Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Joel Freeman and you're watching Wholehearted. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. I just got into Ogden, Utah for the Utah Open / World Championships coming up. That means I just finished up playing the Portland Open in you-know-where. The Portland Open was another kind of similar story to kind of what it has been all season for me. Just kind of another off weekend. I was throwing well and just putting really not well. The first round was on film, which is awesome. You can check that out on Gatekeeper Media, their YouTube channel. I might link it down below or something. You can just see with your own eyes exactly how things went for me there. And that told the general story of the tournament. So round one, I was throwing well. I was putting. My putting was a nightmare. Round two, I played much better. I feel like I threw better and putted better. But then I walked away with the same score somehow. For any of you who were paying attention following the Portland Open, you know that the best score shot all weekend was like 8 or 9 under par or something. Needless to say, it's a very tough layout out there. In the second round, I hit off the basket for a birdie on 14 different holes, meaning I was inches away from a 14 under. Would have been a legendary round. Instead, somehow I walked away with a 4 under. Pretty disappointed there, but that's such a tough course that I was still in 10th place, I think, going into the final round. Now, the final round I consider to be the best round I have ever played. And here is why. I started off well on the first 2 holes, but then on holes 3, 4, and 6, I had an opportunity to just get up and down from about 200 feet with a nice little gator forehand, the most comfortable shot in my whole game. And 3 out of 3 of those shots went wrong. That was super irritating. Fast forward to hole 9, which is like kind of the least separating hole that I've ever seen. Kind of no matter what an average pro does, he's gonna get a 5 on that hole. It's just gonna be a 5. It's kind of like a par 6, like unless something goes really wrong and you walk away with a 6, or you get an OB stroke and get a 7 or something, it's gonna be a 5. Like, I could play that hole 100 times, and more than 90 times I would walk away with a 5. This day I walked away with an 8. Yep, triple bogey on the most obvious 5 that I've ever played. Fast forward again a couple more holes and onto hole 14, which is basically the same hole as hole 9, but just in a -1 par version. So kind of no matter how things go, unless I just throw 2 incredible shots, I'm gonna get a 4. Somehow I walked away with a 6. So needless to say, it was a super frustrating round. How I played was pretty awful that round. However, the one really awesome thing about that round was my attitude. As someone who has struggled with their composure and their attitude, keeping my head up, keeping a smile on my face, I haven't always been great at that. It's very important to me, but it's also difficult. I'm very invested in this game. I'm very invested in my job. I take it seriously. I want to do well for the sake of my family and my future and their future. So it can be hard, and I'm like too intense and too hard on myself sometimes. But I can say with confidence that that final round, the whole way through, I had a smile on my face. My head was held high, and that is why I consider that the best round I've ever played. It's one thing to just have a super off day and play a terrible round all the way through. On those days, I feel like I can kind of just laugh and like, wow, I don't know why this is happening. I guess I'll just come back the next time and try again tomorrow. On the other hand, there are also the days when you're playing well. And then obviously it's not hard to be in a good mood when you're playing well. The rounds that are the toughest are the ones where you're almost playing well, you're almost on your way to a good round, and then you screw it all up. I had more birdies in that final round than I did on the other 2 days. I felt better, and I was probably honestly playing better, all in all. But just a few crucial mistakes threw the whole thing down the drain. That is the recipe for a very frustrating round. And I think it's because it was so hard for me to keep a good perspective and stay in a positive mindset that it's such a major triumph. If it wasn't a really hard day, then it wouldn't have been such an epic triumph for me. But I can say it was probably the hardest round of my life, and therefore the greatest victory that I've ever walked away with. So that was the story of the Portland Open for me. I think I ended up just in 20th place, another mediocre finish for me, but I'm walking away with a huge victory in my mind, because I reached a whole new level of breakthrough and professionalism and composure and positivity and perspective and all that, which I think is way more important than shooting a good score. So now it is time for me to prepare for the Utah Open. This is kind of like a World Championship warm-up event is how I'm thinking of it. It's on the exact same courses, so I figured why not play the Utah Open a couple weeks before the World Championships. I'll ultimately be spending 3 weeks total here in the northern Utah area. For today's video, I'm going to take you guys out on each of the 2 courses that we're playing, and I'm going to just show you guys how I'm playing my 2 favorite holes. So I'm going to pick my favorite hole on each course, take you guys along with me, show you guys how I attack it. Again, thank you all so much for joining. I hope you guys enjoyed that little recap. Without further ado, hope you guys enjoy seeing my favorite holes out here at the Utah Open courses. Alright everyone, I am out here on hole 15 at the Mulligan's Disc Golf Course in Ogden, Utah. I'm not 100% sure if this hole will be included in the 2021 World Championships or not, but if it is, this is one of my favorite holes out here, and I'll tell you why. First shot, you're going to throw a somewhat big forehand, hoping to land on a flat spot in the middle of the fairway. The farther you go, the easier your second shot's gonna be, but the farther you go, the more water is in play. So my game plan is to go forehand, try to play 20 feet left of the basket on that second shot, try to keep that water out of play. Let's see how I do. One more of those and I'll be home free. The fairway here does shape better for the forehand, but what I like about it is it's a pretty small landing zone, so it definitely makes you nervous. It's an accomplishment to get the green flag off the tee on this one. The second shot here also sets up better for the forehand in my opinion. Let's see if I can skip one up there. Again, I'm aiming like 20-25 left of the pin. I'm not trying to give myself a bullseye hit on this one because that's bringing the water into play. The shot's gonna play a little bit longer in the headwind here. That is exactly what you want to see on the second shot here. Let's go tap it in. So I got a little bit excited in the headwind and actually put it 30 feet long. Perfect line, but just a little deep. Let's see if I can just tap it in anyway. That's how you birdie hole 15 out here at Mulligan's, one of my favorite holes out here. Now here we are out at hole 4 at the Fort. This is my favorite hole on this 18. I just walked the course for the first time. I played it back at the Utah Open in 2019, I think. Few changes this year, but this is now my favorite hole on the course. Your first shot, you're gonna get as much distance as possible while making sure you stay in the fairway. Your second shot's just gonna be kind of a gentle hyzer. Let's see if I can show you guys how to do it. Key factors on this tee shot is that you get far and you stay straight. So I'm gonna be throwing my most understable destroyer on a decent amount of hyzer, trying to just keep it into the gap, hoping that it'll kind of flip up, and if it skips or has much ground play, that it's in the forward straight direction, as opposed to a lot of my other destroyers which would want to skip left. That should set me up for a second shot into the green. We'll see how I do. Yes. I think that was great. We'll see. To me, what makes a good disc golf hole is that it's challenging and fair. That's what I see when I'm on this hole. This first shot, super tough, but I was able to get it fairly far down here and land right in the middle of the fairway. Now I've got 300 plus, a little, maybe 330 into the green. I'm gonna throw a sidewinder on a hard hyzer, hoping that it'll follow the gap the whole way, flip up, and go way left and into the green and give me a look for birdie. Let's see how it goes. Well, like I said, this hole is super tough. That's part of the reason this is my favorite hole out here on the Fort. Let's see if I can just make it anyway. Not a bad try. Not a bad try. Real quick, one more really cool thing that I forgot to mention. The PDGA player ratings just updated for the month of June, and I am now rated 1031. That is a huge milestone for me personally. I was stuck at 1029 for a long time back in 2019, and I've never before broken that 1030 mark. So, super cool to wake up to that good news. Player ratings ultimately don't mean anything, but it's at least just a little encouraging sign that there's still improvement in the midst of what has felt like a lot of failure and disappointment. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the Freebird Tour Vlog series. I'm Joel Freeman, you're watching Wholehearted. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.